Hi guys, my name is TJ and this is my BookCon Experience. Why did I get to go to BookCon? The reason why I was able to go to BookCon this year is because when BookCon announced that it was happening in Chicago, I was like, oh my goodness, I should go. So I shared it. I shared the link to my Facebook page and I just kind of put, haha, anyone want to take me to Chicago? This would be great. And I didn't think anyone would think anything of it. It was just like me being like, super hopeful, knowing in reality it wouldn't happen. Then my grandparents comment back within like a half hour and they're like, we'll take you, let's do this. And I'm like, what? So that is how I got to go to BookCon. Anticipation leading up to BookCon. The week before BookCon came about was also my last week of school. So I was just hype in general overall. But so the whole time, like the week leading up to, I'm like updating my Snapchat story like, 2 days till BookCon, 6 hours till BookCon, like, I was hype. But then the day I hit the road, it didn't feel real at all. I'm just driving, and I'm like, I'm not really going to BookCon. This ain't real. And, like, at that point, my hyperness and my hypeness for it kind of dilled down, because it was more of just general shock. Like, this ain't really happening, is it? But, my friends, indeed it was happening. How did I get to BookCon? We drove to BookCon. It wasn't too bad of a drive getting there. It actually went super fast. We stayed the night in a hotel about an hour, not even. It didn't even feel like an hour to get there. We stayed about an hour away from Chicago in a hotel in Indiana. And then we got up the next morning, and we planned on being at the convention center by 7 a.m. to get in line for the wristbands. How on earth did the wristband process go? Like I mentioned before, we planned on getting there around 7 a.m. to get in line for the 8 a.m. book bracelet thing to get autographs. So like I mentioned before, we had anticipated on being there around 7 a.m. to be in line for the wristbands because the wristband process was supposed to start around 8 a.m. Well, we get there, and there is a huge line of people. I mean, the main area of the convention center, it went down that, it went across the bridge, into that lobby, and then it went down the escalator into a huge hallway of, like, the second part of the convention center down there. And then once it was down there, it just started snaking, and snaking, and snaking, and just, like, wrapping around. Luckily, I was probably a good, like, middle of the way through the line, so that was really beneficial to me. But, like, as we were walking to find the end of the line, we were just kind of like, where did all these people come from? How early did they get here? Where are their tents? They had to have camped out in their spots in line to be here, because how on earth did this happen? The amount of people there just for the wristband signings was, like, whoa. But in the end, despite the very long line and being halfway through the line, we did end up getting 3 wristbands. We got David Levine, David Arnold, and James Dashner. We went to Veronica Roth's panel. After we went through and each of us got a wristband, we got in line to go into the main convention hall, and when some guy came out and he's like, hey, if anyone wants to go to the Veronica Roth panel that'll be starting soon, you can go over to this room and start lining up. And I'm like, okay, well, we don't really have anywhere we need to be until afternoon, and, like, this is a 10:30 showing, so why not get in line? So at this point, it's, like, 8 o'clock, and we go to get in line, and we're in line from, like, 8:30 to 10 o'clock. Whoa, that was a long line. My grandma ended up actually laying down on the floor. Cue video clip of my grandma laying on the floor. Grandma, are you comfortable?
Yes.
Hi, Grandpa.
Hi.
But in the end, all 3 of us made it through the line and we got to go to the Veronica Roth panel. Main convention floor? If you've been to BookCon, you know how crazy the main convention floor is. There are people everywhere, there's booths everywhere, everywhere you go, someone is trying to hand you something, give you something. You're picking up all these bags everywhere because you need more bags to stuff stuff in. So by the time you come home, you have one too many bags, and you have no use for all these bags once you get home. But you just start filling these bags with bookmarks and pins and free books and everything under the sun they're handing out there. And then, of course, there's the booths where you buy t-shirts, so then you grab t-shirts and you're putting them in your thing, and it's insane. But you move through the floor pretty easily, so the main convention floor is honestly more of, like, something for you to do in between when you have to go to a panel or a showing or an autographing. It kind of just gives everyone a place to go and kind of get the feel of the book community a little bit. There was so many people on the main convention floor, it was crazy! Meeting David Arnold. I ended up with the David Arnold wristband, and I'm super glad I did because I really enjoyed meeting him. I went to line up for my time to get autographed, and there was like 4 people in front of me. So that was great, and then by the time the autographing started, there was only like 15 people behind me. So not that many people were going for the David Arnold autograph, so that gave me more time to talk to him, and I soaked that up. Oh my gosh. I bought a book for me and my mom, and he autographed them both, and I got to ask him a couple questions I had about Mosquitoland and have a conversation with him. I took a selfie with him. It was great. I wish I would have remembered to vlog with him, but I forgot all about the vlog at that point. Once you meet someone like an author or a celebrity, it's hard to get your mind to comprehend everything, let alone to remember to vlog. David Arnold, you be my home slice. Meeting James Dashner. Grandpa ended up with the James Dashner wristband, and he had to go through a huge line to get the wristband, and then a huge line once the autographing started. So thanks for that, Grandpa. But for those of you who weren't at BookCon and you don't know, or if you were at BookCon and you don't know, the James Dashner line was table 9, which was the very last table for the autographing, and then there was like a huge open space next to it. So as James Dashner was autographing, you could go right up to the side of the line and like be like 6 feet away from him, not even. So as my grandpa was approaching to get his autograph signed, my grandma went up and asked one of the ladies that works with him there if when my grandpa's going up to get the book signed for me, if I could go up and get a picture with him. And the lady's like, oh no, that's no problem. When he comes up to sign the book, just have her trade spots with her grandpa. So when my grandpa went up to get his autograph, I ended up going in his place, and I got to meet James Dashner and get the autograph for myself when it should have been my grandpa doing it for me. So that was super cool. And yeah, we kind of twisted the system a little there, and my grandpa ended up just holding line spaces for me. Thanks for holding my place in a ton of different lines that weekend, Grandpa. You're the bomb. My grandma met David Levine. My grandma ended up with the David Levine wristband, and she went to get in line for the signature, and that signature line took a while. My grandma was standing in that line for me for a long time, so thanks, Grandma! But yeah, she got the signature from him, and that was super cool. She didn't really mention anything that I recall of him like being like super nice or anything like that. It was just kind of a signature thing. But yeah, I don't have much information on that because I didn't get to personally do it, but it was still super cool. My grandma was kind of funny because she had never read a David Levine book before, so like the whole time she was worried that he'd ask her a question about one of the books, and she'd be like, I've never read your book, I just want your autograph. So my grandma was kind of funny about that. The Splosion Book of the Month panel. When I seen that Kat and Jesse and Christine would be having a Splosion Book of the Month panel, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go. So after my grandma got done getting her David Levine signature, we headed down to get in line for that. And we get there, and the people's like, okay, you need to go to this room and line up. There's a lot of people in there already, so go ahead and line up. So then we're in line, and this guy comes out, and he's like, okay, so here's the deal. There was a panel in the same showroom before, and the people in that room are not required to leave. They're just going to scoot up. So we cannot guarantee a seat for every one of you in there. We can't even guarantee that every one of you will be able to get into the room to see the panel. So at that point I'm like, I'm not going to see Jesse and Kat and Christine with my own eyes. I'll be forced to wait to see them off the computer screen for like who knows how long again. So like the whole time I'm standing in line, like I'm acting chill, but on the inside I'm like, am I not going to get to see them? But it worked out well. My grandma was the only one who ended up with a seat. She had to sit in like the middle row around a bunch of teenage girls. Then me and my grandpa ended up standing against the wall. That room was packed. Oh my gosh. By the end of that, my back was killing me. And like I know there was a meetup where you could have met them afterwards, but at that point my back and my feet was hurting so bad after like being in lines all day and walking the convention floor all day and then standing there for the whole panel. I was just like, I love them. I would love to meet them. I want to meet them so bad someday, but not today. I'm exhausted. I know both my grandparents are exhausted. We're just ready to go home. So at that point, we left. We didn't do the meetup, and we went home. And that, my friends, was my BookCon experience. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!